Hi, welcome to Scribo Base. Now, this is a video about the core writing delivery system and platform called Scribo inside the Literatu platform. So, really, it's a right across the top as to the sorts of things that you can do very, very quickly to help teachers, to help students to write better English. Now, English is one of those sort of like universal subjects where it goes across not only the subject English but across all humanities. It goes through everyday life. It goes into really every corner of everyone's world if they're in an English speaking situation or a professional or educational English speaking situation. So Scribo really has come from the background of seeing the trouble students go through learning English to write English well, and seeing the effort teachers put into helping students to write English well. So really that's kind of like the backdrop of what we're out to achieve. We're out to achieve a system that keeps humans in the loop and keeps students connected to that teaching process so that everyone really lives without having to do more work and obviously get a lower return. We want less work with a much higher return. So let's have a look at how Scribo kind of works. So first of all, we link in with your rosters. Now, simple stuff, a school is an entity where you've got teachers, classes, students. We have to define that, get that right. That's what we do here. So it's a matter of very quickly deploying and linking into your existing infrastructure so that when teachers walk into a room, students walk into a room, the system's ready to work with them. That's the most important thing. We don't want all this trouble of, can't log in. So we support single sign-on across multiple platforms. It's easy to get going. Now, once you have a sort of a roster of classes, you then have something going on inside those classes, and these are called writing activities. So I'm going to start with one in motion and then come back and we'll create one and see how easy that is. So really, the Mediterranean world is something that's going on inside my sample class. I just single click, and I want you to count the clicks here, right? So single click in, I've got my class on the right-hand side. I start with the first student, and I graded them automatically using a rubric that is my choice of rubric, and I'm creating feedback for them already. So really, job done on student one. Now, I shouldn't really say job done. What we've managed to replicate here is we've taken a scenario that teachers go through all the time, handing in work, handing in drafts of work, handing in essays and things that we want students to pay attention to, we want students to produce their best work on. It's then back to a teacher. It's like a tennis match, back to a teacher for comment and further sort of like suggestion, then it goes back to the student. So we've got this traffic that goes in between. But in the middle of all this traffic is a lot of work. And that's what we're trying to take out of the loop, okay? The amount of work that goes on by teachers in grading and students in creating their best work. So Scribo is designed to really approach feedback instantly from two perspectives. Number one is the process level. So, the sentences, the vocabulary, the topic, the sort of profile of how they're writing, the GPS, grammar, punctuation, spelling, all of these elements that really take a lot of time at various levels of writing with red pen and encouragement. We're trying to build that into a very immediate kind of feedback framework for students so that they can put their work into Scribo, hit one button and get the level of feedback that teachers want them to get. This is important, right? You can flood students with way too much feedback with these kind of systems. What you need to do is to step them through at the level they're at and take them one step at a time forward. And usually it always starts with grammar, punctuation, spelling, but not in an automatic kind of fixed kind of way. We're talking about suggesting. So we want people to stop and think about, is this a better alternative? You could get more than one alternative, but it's up to the student to then click it through and seat it back into their work. So it becomes a correction that they are making as opposed to one that we are making automatically. And feedback covers across a lot of different areas, okay? Again, this is driven by teachers. They can turn it on, they can turn it off, they can add to it, they can change it. When we're talking about vocabulary, we know a lot about what's going on. We know you're a teacher. We know what year you're in. We know what subject you're teaching. We know what level or target this sort of class is in. Now, levels 1 to 6 is basically is 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 4 and 5. So it's broken, year 12 into 6 sort of age groups, and it's calibrated against all the proper dictionaries that it needs to calibrate against. It says if we're teaching in what's that 654, so this is like a year 8, year 9 kind of scenario. They should be targeting this level of language across the big four: nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Okay, what we're seeing is they're outside of that with some of their verbs, and our job is always to lift, to give them more alternatives, something that they can learn along the way without having to sort of like red pen it up and take a suggestion that they might not be able to read in amongst all the other words, right? It's a lot of work for teachers to level up vocabulary and language. It's something that can be naturally done inside the Scribo interface. So it's not just about, the simplicity of giving corrections. I think what we're trying to do here is make a connection between how students can improve and how teachers can get that improvement advice across the line for them quicker than possibly ever before. So rather than go through all these sort of elements and sites of feedback that exist within the Scribo framework, we can basically sort of like openly say that we cover a lot of ground in feedback, and we can adjust the feedback, we can temper the feedback, we can make this feedback something that you're quite happy to have standardized and rolling across your class every time a student produces a writing check. So when you click on writing check, this is the experience for a student. We can scan the work. We don't stop and interrupt them on the way through. We scan the work and we give them exactly this. The feedback calculations are done equally for every student. The feedback will differ for every student because, of course, it's personalized into how each student is writing. And that's quite a unique thing for each student. Grading is something that we absolutely do really well at. You can have any rubric you like linked into Scribo. You can use all the standard IGCSEs, the TOEFLs, TOEICs, whatever international framework, international baccalaureate framework you are using. Absolutely fine. They are all defined in libraries. They can be pulled in, they can be personalized. And again, the sort of results that we get back from the AI grading is a very accurate or near to human registered scoring that we can get. So we personalize all feedback that comes back. We give teachers full insights as to why we scored at certain levels. Now, of course, teachers can disagree. We can move it up one. If we want to, sort of say, no, that's not right, we'll move it up one. That's absolutely fine. Move it from 14 to 15. We never take teachers outside of the loop. We always keep teachers in control of what's going on. We're just doing the lifting to make sure that this is streamlined in workflow and there's better information or quicker information flows back to students. That's the real trick with Scribo. Okay, some of the other great things we do is we record history. So how did this essay get to where it got to? How many cycles of revision has this student done? Sorry, I hit the wrong button there. That always happens. How have they gotten to here? Like, what have they done to get here? What sort of feedback have I given? What sort of feedback have they used from the system to get to this point where they have this essay in front of us? How many revisions did they go through to get here? Okay, a large copy and paste into a final result is not typically what you want to see. You want to see differences between versions. You want to see students taking on your feedback. You want to see how they thought their way through this process. That's where the value in teaching comes from, is that sort of information that you can see very, very quickly without having to just red pen all these little errors that might pop up along the way. So there's a whole raft of things that teachers can get into here. If you really wanted to see more about this essay, but you didn't want to read 35 of them, a single click, you'll get a good summary of what this student has managed to produce. If you wanted to improve or show 3 ways to improve this text, it's a single click into our bot framework to get behind that kind of level of feedback. So moving at good speed is really important for teachers to be able to scale their resources. There's only so much time in a day. Zeroing in on how you can help students the best is the best effort and the best way to spend teacher time. If you were to look at any particular sentence that you wanted to rewrite, you could click on really any sentence and rewrite it. You can leave feedback and speech to text instantly. You can package up anything you want to contribute to a student and get it back to them really, really quickly. And of course, if you wanted to do anything outside of the framework of just correction and really get into some high-end suggestions or checking did the response answer the question, you've got the bot to help you do it. Okay, so moving around the system is really all about following your nose as a teacher. There's nothing prescriptive in here. There's nothing that says you have to do it a certain way, but there's a lot of support for what you do as a teacher. Okay, so we've covered off rubric, we've covered off the process, we've covered off the power of other types of feedback, like more product-driven feedback. There's some great things in Scribo around reporting. You know, parents love getting detailed sort of feedback on why their students been putting so much effort in, but not possibly getting the results they're looking for. This closes all the loops. We do a lot of different levels of reporting and feedback. This can go out in a click from a teacher to a student or to a range of parents, a very comprehensive report. So there's information at click inside Scribo. If we're teaching in a classroom like in the Middle East, where sometimes the English feedback is not as familiar to students as it could be, we can click into an Arabic framework and have feedback delivered in different languages. So whilst that's not coming through, I have it turned off. You can convert into any language that you want that feedback and have it come through and be accessible by students and parents. It's a great thing, and it makes it more inclusive from a sort of like a feedback and marking perspective. So managing things to do inside the framework is really simple as well. We have a great library that you can use and select from, and that library gets built by teachers and moves across the school so that you can, you know, recreate these activities in subsequent years or share each other's work as you go through. We've also got this amazing ability for you to create really quick formative type or even summative style writing events where you can pick the type of genre that you're after, the number of paragraphs and words that you're looking for, and create these awesome writing prompts that give students the ability to write with support. So, you know, writing, when I was doing it, we used to get a blank piece of paper and a topic. What we can do to engage students better now is give them a scaffold for them to work through and align to their writing and their planning. Writing and planning is really a great construct to get into. It's a great way to go about writing, is to plan your work, write what you're planning, and then start refining through the visions, the versions and revisions of what you're doing. On the left-hand side is the ability for teachers to take full control over this writing event. So we don't want auto marking. We might want rubric marking. We might want auto marking because auto marking gives students a very clear direction as to where they're headed without having the teacher sort of have to come along and spend time in the rubric framework. So auto marking is a really great way for getting students instant feedback on how they can tighten things up and move forwards very, very quickly. There's all sorts of options that we've got, but basically what these options do is put the teachers in control of what's going on. Okay, so there's nothing where you're ever out of control. You can always turn off levels of different types of feedback. You can, you know, move through the basic options around pedagogy is what we're trying to do here, so that, you know, you don't want prompts, or you do want prompts. You don't want scoring. You want a certain type of rubric scoring. You want to give them a subject word list. You want to give them topic keywords to work with. All of these things are part of your approach to improving writing in your classroom. We're here simply to support you. And once you're ready with that, you can assign that activity in another click and it's out the door. It can go into Google Classroom, it can go into Teams, it can go really anywhere, and students are now engaged in that writing event. So moving through the system is all about you building in a connection framework and an operational sort of supportive writing environment for your students. You get help with feedback, you get help with marking, as do they, You're all connected on the same page. Everybody sees the same thing. And it's really a process of getting a really quick writing result within days. This is not a week's kind of environment. This is a day's delivery into your classroom. This is the auto scoring that we talked about. Now, we have our own mechanism in here after years of experience. We've been doing this for like 7 years as to how to score and go about scoring this essay. But what we do is it's a proactive way of encouraging students to claim back work or marks that they are missing. And what we're suggesting here is, this is an active voice we want to be in. We don't want passive voice, but we're losing some marks for that. Our language, our academic word use is just a bit off. We could improve that. And if we had some better cohesion in some of the sentences that we have in here, we could improve our writing there. So using the feedback below, students will go about increasing that score. Now, 84 is a great score. We have teachers in class that say, no one come to talk to me unless we're hitting like 75 to 80 with your Scribo score, because that is the zone where they believe they can get students to with self-directed learning. If you get to 80 using a Scribo score, you've got a pretty tight little essay going here. Now, the things that will improve that essay, of course, are the strength of your argument, the topics or the sort of lineage of your discussion as you move through your essay. They're the real cognitive elements that teachers can contribute to and really get the top end scores for those students with. But really getting students past that level of I'm bad at writing into being able to score well, get to a framework where they can competently reproduce this type and quality of work to get to these levels is a huge challenge for every teacher, and every student is very different. So this is where Scribo really attacks the problem. It helps teachers save time in delivering that kind of leadership and teaching, and helps students respond to things that they can fix themselves really, really quickly. So that's what Scribo is all about. And Scribo is applicable for any age, any context, any topic, any subject. It's all about writing. And, it doesn't have to be an English text to be a piece of writing. It could be physics, chemistry. We even see it being used in mathematics. Writing is writing, and good writing is good thinking made visible. And that is a really important skill for everyone to learn. We're here to assist teachers, join with students, connect into a framework that can really support the effort everybody's putting in and get a better result and get better skills in English writing. We'll talk to you more through some more videos, but thanks for your time and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.